Hello everybody and welcome. So happy to have you here today, whether you're new or whether you're someone that's been here a long time. Just welcome. Happy to see you. Today I'm going to do something with a flashcard. Now I didn't have a flashcard that fit the criteria that I wanted, so I just kind of made this one up, and I'm going to be using this to create a book. So come along with me and let's start creating. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and cut out this card. I'm going to make a little book, and so this one is going to be the front, and then this part is going to be the back part of the little book. So these pieces are about 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And what I want to do, I want to pick a piece of paper to put behind it. So the theme of this little book is Count It All Joy. So you get it, like counting the addition, right? Okay, there you go. So what I want to do, I want to pick out a paper that has a little bit of red potentially in it. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the red letters or the black letters, but if I use the red, it'd be nice to pick up on the color. I think I like this one the best. So what I want to do, I want to cut this out just a little bit bigger. Now this has a slight edge around it. I think because it's just going to be trimming along the side, I don't want that edge. So I'm going to cut that off. Okay, this is the paper that I'm going to use for the backing of my book. So I want to cut that, I'm guessing, around 6 inches. I'm going to cut it at 6 inches. I'm committing here right now. And then I want the two together. So if I have that big of an edge, let me see. You got to kind of eyeball it to make a decision. So let's say this is 4.5. So that would be 4, 8, 9 inches. So I'm going to cut this one 9 inches long. I can always cut it shorter, but I can't make it longer. So I'm going to start out there. So let's fold it and see what it looks like. It'll look about like that, and then I can put other things underneath it. I think it would be fun to kind of create a collage look behind it instead of just a solid color. And I think I also want to do some stamping and some different things to kind of muck up this card a little bit. Muck up? I want the card to feel like it's lived some life. So now, maybe get some different coloring here. Okay, now that I have these two, I have a piece that I've cut out that I want to frame this with. So this isn't going to be the piece, but this is a piece that I'm going to use to put these scrap papers along the edge just to create a little bit different feel and a different look. Kind of a little scrappy occurrence. Okay, let's start out with this little piece of music. And I think I'm going to use my glue stick for this. Goes down nicely, and then once I get towards the end, I'm going to just kind of cut it off. So I want these little raggedy pieces on the edge. I want those to be seen, to have just a worn out, tattered feel to it. Put that there. Put another layer right here of this. Just peeking out. And maybe I'll put that on this side. Okay, let me move this so it's not all too much for you. A lot going on there. Alright, so here we go. This is my scrappy little edge. So this is the little shape that I did. I did all the work collaging, just taking little scrap pieces, ripping them up, putting behind it, and then I have this, and it's going to go on right there. So I like how that turned out. Nice. Okay, so now what I want to do, I have to determine the closure that I want before I do too much more. It would be kind of nice if I had a button right here. It has a nice feel for that. I think I'm going to do a button. I'm going to take this twine and create my closure for the back. I'm going to glue it here. It's going to come around and it's going to go around the button a few times maybe, so I want it about this long. Really precise, right? So let's go ahead and get that glued, and then we'll work on the next part. So I want it to go right in the middle, so I'm going to put just a nice line of glue to hold it in place. While that's drying, what I want to do, I want to sew around the edge of my card just to give it a little bit more personality. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and give it a sewing. Okay, got this all sewn around the edges. I'm going to go ahead and cut off these little parts. Don't need all the strings. And so I could have sewn it right on here, but I didn't want to sew through all the layers. But it has the feel of being sewn still. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue this down here. My other stuff is still drying. And that's going right there. Nice. So my button's going to go in here, so I want to provide just a little bit more strength for that area. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little piece of cardstock, a little scrap. There you go. And then this is Tyvek. This is one of those envelopes with that special material, and it doesn't rip. So I want to take a little bit of that. So I cut out just a little bit of this Tyvek, and so that'll give me just a little bit more strength behind here for the button. So let's see. So I've got a bunch of little buttons here. I want to make sure that this is the one that I want to use. I could use something just a tad bit smaller. I think I like that. In retrospect, I think I would have liked the button just a little bit lower, closer to that line right there, but I've already committed to having it right in the middle, so that's where it's going to be. So this is going to be here, so this is the area that I want to reinforce. I'm going to take this, first of all, and glue that on the base, right there. So it'll be hidden, but it'll create a little bit extra. And then I'm going to cut off another little part, and I'm going to glue that on the other side, right here. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue that too. I'm going to do that as soon as I have the exact place where the buttonholes are going in. So this is where that's going to go. I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to punch some holes with my little awl so that I know right where I want it to go. So I've got my holes there. I don't know if you can see them. So I'm going to just go ahead and continue on and punch through. That's where that's going to be sewn on. And now what I want to do, I want to take this and glue it right over where those holes go, and then I can repunch. So that'll just help secure my button just a little bit more. Yep. It does better if you let it dry first. Being a little impatient here, I am. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just glue this on now. Making sure I have plenty of glue in this middle area that's going to go over this. I want to make sure that that is all down nicely. So that looks good. Nice. All right. So now I need to re-poke these holes, and for that I'm just going to use my needle because I already have done the work with my awl. So I'm going to thread that in, grab my button and put her on. Now when you put your button on, you don't want it too tight. You want to have enough room that your piece of baker's twine or whatever you're using can wrap around the base of the button without stressing the hole. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So I've got that going. I've got two going. And so I'm going to just kind of take this and I'm going to wrap it around here. I'm going to wrap it around my button to make sure that it allows for that space. And then I'm going to kind of pull it a little bit tight. And then go back down. Okay. So I don't want to pull that too tight. I want to keep that space for this. I think I'm going to stop right there. And bring my needle through and tie it off. Okay. Now I'm going to also put just a little bit of glue there just to make sure those don't come undone. I'm going to have paper over this, so that'll be covered up. Alright, now what I'm going to do is work on my inside pages. This is some paper that I've got. So let's see how big I want my pages. I want it to be about right here. And I would say about right here. So let's see what that is. So it's 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. Let's see if that works out. Nope, it's a little bit, I want it a little shorter. Good thing I checked. Let's try 8 1/2. There, that gives me a little space. Okay, 5 3/4 by 8 1/2. So I'm going to cut my pages so that I can stitch them in. Okay, let's fold them all. Goes in there nicely. Okay, I've stitched the pages in. I want to put something on the end there. Alright, that's how I'm going to lay that out. All right, here it is. This is how the cover ended up. So I hope you like. I wanted the edges all roughed up, so I went along roughing up the edges. I like it.